News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 5:05 on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Will Feelright as we have clear skies outside the KVNU studios, and it's been a hot one this afternoon. Well, 3 Cache County projects are receiving more than $603,000 in state funding to expand local trail access, outdoor education, and neighborhood parks. Now, the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation announced the awards yesterday as part of a $19 million distribution funding 81 projects statewide. Now, overall, the Logan City School District received a $300,000 grant to help build a new outdoor learning center for students and community members, while the Cache Trails Alliance was awarded $227,000 for the Ricks Canyon to Stell Hollow Connector Trail. Now, that'll expand local hiking and trail running access. Now, additionally, the Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing Corporation secured $76,000 to help develop the Mountain View Estates South Park. Now, state officials say that the grants are designed to help communities invest in outdoor spaces while also supporting public health and local economies. Now, combined with local matching funds, the 3 Cache County grants represent more than $1 million in planned recreational investments. Well, reality TV star and investor Kevin O'Leary now says that his team is working to dramatically shrink the footprint of a controversial data center planned for Box Elder County. Now, the pivot comes after Utah Senate President Stuart Adams unexpectedly demanded the Stratus project be reduced by 75%, dropping from 40,000 acres down to 10,000. Now, O'Leary says that he initially thought the sudden demand was a typo, attributing the change to political pressure that Adams is facing ahead of the upcoming primary election. Now, despite calling the letter a demand list, O'Leary says that he fully agrees with the state's push for stronger environmental mitigation and protections for the Great Salt Lake. Now, O'Leary's team is now rushing to assemble engineers and architects to adjust the master plan. Revised designs accommodating the smaller 10,000-acre limit are expected in the coming days as the project is moving closer to regulatory review. And live music is back at the Logan Tabernacle for the summer season. Now, the Cache Community Connections Interfaith Summer Concert Series, which is held at noon each day, is in full swing, offering free daily performances to the public through July 31st. Now, directed by Carol Foote, the Interfaith Series will feature 52 distinct acts, blending local talent and renowned guest performances. Now, upcoming highlights will include a June 10th concert appearance by Dan Truman of the chart-topping country band Diamond Rio, as well as a patriotic evening concert by the American Festival Chorus and Orchestra on July 11th. Now, while most of the concerts will be taking place at noon inside the historic Tabernacle, there will be 4 special evening performances scheduled across the street at the Carol and Jim Lobb Plaza. Yeah, and with the weather that we're going to be having over the next several days, it's going to be perfect for music, either inside the Tabernacle or over at the plazas. We're going to see clear skies continuing. Temperatures today have been in the mid-80s. Now tonight will drop into the low 50s, be back into the mid to high 80s through the rest of the week. And it looks like it's going to remain sunny, hot, and dry as we head to the weekend. Saturday, we'll see temperatures right around the low 90s, then a little cooler temperatures on Sunday, and back into the low 80s for Monday and Tuesday of next week. Now, weather this hour is brought to you by Bell Sculpt. They can help get rid of stubborn fat for good, giving you permanent weight loss solutions. Call their bountiful office at 801-335-5388. And remember this website, bellsculpt.fm. And KVNU News Time is now 5:09, and it's KVNU's For the People Show with Jason Williams coming up next here on KVNU.
Stay informed, stay connected. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and online at 610kvnu.com.
My friend John Hansen at the Duct Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork cleaned too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home.
Are
you a country music fan? Rock, pop, hip-hop? The kind of music that gets you moving. If so, you're going to love this year's Cache Valley Cruise in concert, featuring rising country music star Cooper Allen. This guy's energy is off the charts. His music has millions of streams, and when he sings, the whole place feels it. Cooper Allen live with special guest Ingrid Andress. Incredible music and even better live and up close. Ingrid Andress, Cooper Allen, Thursday, July 2nd at this year's Cache Valley Cruise In. And it's shaping up to be an all-American night of music, friends, and fun. And you should be there. Buy your tickets now at the Cache Valley Cruise In website or in-store at Lee's Marketplace. Ingrid Andress, Cooper Allen at this year's Cache Valley Cruise In concert. Buy your tickets today.
Welcome back to KVA News for the People. It got hotter between hour 1 and hour 2. It is 86 degrees now here at 5:11 in the afternoon. We started at 81 at 4. So, yeah, warming up. Hopefully it cools down a bit. This is very end of June, 1st of July-like temperature. But here we are. Moving on. This is, of course, primary season here in northern Utah. A lot of attention being paid to the congressional race between Congressman Blake Moore and his Republican challenger, state lawmaker Carrie Ann Lisenby. But here in Cache Valley, another race has gotten, I think, more attention. More voters that I've spoken with have said they've been following this one. They've been getting to know the candidates in this race more. It is a primary playing out between two candidates for Cache County Attorney. And there's a lot of confusion around this one because I've even had listeners say this to me. Didn't we just do that? Yeah, in a way. So we had a special election to replace an outgoing county attorney earlier this year. And now the regularly scheduled election for a Republican nominee for the general election who will then, we can assume, be successful in November. It's Utah, right? And serve a full term as county attorney starting in January. So special election earlier in this year, and now the regularly scheduled reelection cycle is afoot. And again, that does include a primary. That primary day will be June 23rd. It's a Tuesday. And the ballots are already out there. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't seen your ballot, if you expected one, you're a registered Republican, and you haven't seen your ballot by, say, next Wednesday, reach out to the county clerk's office. Don't put it off. Do it as soon as possible. Something's gone wrong. It can be easily rectified, but the earlier, the better. Those ballots, again, have been mailed. I actually received mine today. So here in the studio with us to talk about this primary is a current Cache County attorney and candidate for re-election for a full term, Dane Murray. And Dane, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. We were joking before. I said my first question was going to be, have you changed your mind yet? Because you're, of course, not new to the county attorney's office at all, but you've officially served as county attorney since February? Was it before then?
Yeah, I was acting county attorney.
See, my brain's already fried by the heat. I'm going to blame the heat.
It's a hot day. It's been a long months. But, yeah, I was acting county attorney in February, appointed county attorney in March.
Okay.
Now we're here in June.
That is, and I was going to jokingly say, have you changed your mind? Because you've gone, so this is technically in the last 6 months, this is your third campaign.
Yeah, that's true, because you had the campaign to be appointed by the council, you had the campaign at the convention, and now we're in a primary campaign. So it's, I joked, the job is amazing. It's a great job. The people I work with, the people I get to help in the community, that's what makes it worth it.
Sure.
But it is a long campaign season, and it's a lot of work to run for election. And so I applaud anyone that puts their name in and puts themselves out there to do that, because
sure,
especially when you've been in a role like mine where you've been a prosecutor, you have people that don't like it because you've sent people to prison. You've made
enemies,
people's friends to prison. And so everyone that doesn't like you is coming out of the woodwork to say bad things about you, and that is I think that's probably in this atmosphere. It doesn't matter if you're county attorney or if you're running for the legislature or you're running for school board. That's kind of just what happens.
Sure, that's it. It is, and I blame social media for most of this. It happens to radio hosts too. You'd be surprised. Probably not on the same scale, but no, it's. There are a lot of disincentives for running for office these days, and that's unfortunate. And so I admire anyone. This is not comfortable for anyone to put yourself out there in this type of a spotlight. It doesn't come naturally for any of us. No one enjoys it. And yet people step up and file and run for office. And if they didn't, then we have, no candidates to choose from. This is, though, especially now in Cache Valley, there is so much on the table. And I know this is a cliche thing to say, but I think it's really true right now. You hear all the time, most important election ever. But I do feel like we're at a bit of a crossroads in Cache County in general, as far as what Cache County feels and looks like to live in 20, 30 years from now. I feel like that's kind of what we're up against. The decisions we make now are going to dictate what living here will be like 20 years from now. And that's kind of a unique situation. Is that trickling into the county attorney's office as well?
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily cliche here, because when you start looking at the population growth that we've had, and you look at how our population's growing compared to, say, even Weber County's population, we're year over year growing almost 4%. I saw this last year, Weber County grew less than 1%. Yeah. Well, on that trajectory, in 50 years, we're going to potentially be bigger than Weber County is in population.
And we've got a plan for that now.
Yeah, and that goes that not only it goes from roads to public works to how our zoning laws are, but a really big reason, and I think that's something that touches everyone's quality of life, is crime. That's why people move away from big cities. That's why people move to places like Cache County.
Sure.
And so I think it's really important, because historically we're always on those lists of the safest community in America based on our crime rates.
Sure.
And that's why people like living here. That's why we've prospered, because places that people don't feel safe, they leave.
Sure.
And
quickly, right?
Quickly, yes. Yeah. And so I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to tackle in the upcoming years. And we're right on that precipice where we're too big to be a small city or a small county, but we're too small to be a big one. But we're right on the edge. And
I heard a lawmaker refer to us, not from here, but a lawmaker from the Salt Lake or Utah County area during the session once referred to us as a satellite community of the Wasatch Front. I was so offended when I heard that, but at the same time, I get that. That's sort of, they're lumping us in, because of our population, into that same Wasatch Front boat in a way. And unfortunately, that affects policy. But you mentioned, the safety of living here, the quality of life that we enjoy because of that low crime. This has always surprised me, because the workload, as I understand it, the workload for prosecutors and the defense representatives within the county attorney system, that hasn't decreased.
No,
that's increased, right?
No, and because there's always going to be, as population grows, there's going to be a natural increase in crime.
Sure.
But one thing that I've found really interesting over the past decade is our special victims crimes have consistently increased.
Really?
You go back, we try,
and that makes sense. That would be directly tied to more people. Right?
Yeah, and you look at some of the things that have changed in the world in the last decade and a half. The world's shrunk. People here can be exploited by someone anywhere in the world.
Sure.
There's things accessible by people here that was a lot more difficult to get their hands on when you're talking about the exploitation of children.
Sure.
But then there's also been, I think we've made a lot of progress as a society, and specifically in our community, with how we respond to domestic violence, how we respond to sexual assault. You see some of the Utah State had some cases dealt with a DOJ investigation with how they had responded, and they've become much better in how they respond to sexual assault on campus.
Yeah, and coordinating with your office as well, right?
Coordinating with our office. some of the policies that we've put in place within the prosecution and law enforcement community, I think, have made a big difference.
Makes sense.
Now when a case is reported to law enforcement on any of those special victims types categories, it has to be run by our office before it's declined. They can't just close the case for no evidence without sending it to a prosecutor to review.
Sure.
And then some of our multidisciplinary teams, we have a multidisciplinary team for child abuse, child sex abuse that's run through the Children's Justice Center. And that's by statute. And that includes law enforcement, it includes child protective services, prosecution, victim services. But here in Cache County, we do a great job extending that not just to the child crimes. We also have a sexual assault response team and a domestic violence response team that are coordinated community efforts with CAPSA, with law enforcement, with our forensic nurses. And I think as a community, we've done a really good job letting people know that we take those type of crimes seriously. And
sure.
There's some social proof to when you see those crimes taken seriously. You see on KVNU or on Cache Valley Daily someone being sentenced for that, and you see that, oh, they reported to law enforcement and it resulted in real consequences.
That's one thing people take for granted, that it does take work to keep that happening, right?
Yeah.
Community relationships, working with law enforcement to talk about how they're policing, and the county attorney's office has to be involved in all of that.
Yeah, and I really think that we're kind of the cog in the wheel of all of that, because we kind of touch all of those different agencies in some way or another.
Makes sense.
Law enforcement, child protective services, the forensic nurses, anything that's collected by any of them as part of a medical exam or part of an investigation or someone reporting something, eventually it's going to come to our office.
Sure.
We're the one thing that connects that, and we've taken a really central role in these. I'm currently the co-chair of the domestic violence response team here in Cache County, partnered with CAPSA on that.
We just talked with Josh Thompson about that a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
Unplanned.
Yeah. Well, and Josh and everyone over there, Jill Anderson and Missy Hewitt over there at CAPSA, that is such a community resource. And
they felt the same way. We were talking specifically about why CAPSA is being discussed by state lawmakers as a model for other areas, and Josh brought that up, the what they've learned and what your office has learned from them, what they've learned from your office, and how that communication has improved things in both directions. Preventative and dealing with someone after there's a crime or any criminal situation whatsoever involved. And they brought that up, that was part of what attracted state lawmakers' attention. They wanted to know how the Cache County Attorney's Office and CAPSA were pulling all of this off with the money. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because
absolutely. I
want to point this out. This is you can visit Dane Murray's candidate page at murrayforattorney.com. But this is fascinating to me, and I've always wanted to see someone break this down, and I didn't realize you had. But here at your campaign site, you break down budget on a per capita basis, and I would like to know your theory on how you're pulling this off, because Cache County, with a bigger population, almost double some of these other areas, bigger population than Tooele County, Iron County, Box Elder County, Summit County, Uintah County, running a per capita cost much cheaper than, the size of the budget for the county attorney's office is much lower, much lower than what is being spent per capita in these other counties. And yet we have more population, which implies you're dealing with a larger caseload. So what's the secret?
Well,
that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and that's something, and honestly, that's become an issue in this race.
Has it?
Because my opponent, he's pointed out that our budget has grown over the last 5 years.
Sure.
That's absolutely true. Everyone's budget has grown over the last 5 years.
County sheriffs has. County councils has.
One thing that I think is, if you actually dig into the numbers, 10 years ago, we made up about 3% of the county's overall budget. Today, we make up about 3% of the county's overall budget. So we haven't grown greater than the rest of the county has grown.
How do you get to a point where you're spending per capita to do the job you're doing? You're spending a fourth of what Summit County is spending.
I think it has to do with the people.
And they have a third of the residents. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and Summit County is a tough comparison.
Sure.
There's a lot of money down there.
That's fair.
I think you look at Washington County, Box Elder County, Tooele County, and
Tooele is the one that grabbed my eye because I would assume that Tooele maybe deals with a similar set of crime, types of crime, things like that. But even Tooele County was quite a bit above us per resident in expense for the county attorney's budget.
Well, one thing
that's interesting to me.
One thing that you'll notice if you go around to different courtrooms in the state, that a lot of courtrooms have 3 prosecutors. In most counties, especially counties of our size, have 3 prosecutors in a courtroom. They have someone dealing with a general felony calendar. They have someone dealing with sexual abuse, and then they have someone assigned to domestic violence. And in Salt Lake County, I mean, you're in there, and they have a homicide team because they have so many of those types of cases. And
makes sense.
In Cache County, and this is something that I think has made a big difference. Back in 2023, when I was interim county attorney, I established a special victims unit and made sure that we had one prosecutor assigned to each courtroom handling all of our special victims unit cases.
And again, going back to what you said, the nature of crime is changing.
Yes. And so instead of when I started doing those special victims cases, it was just me jumping between 3 courtrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was a struggle. Our caseload at that point was lower, but it was growing quickly. That was back in 2019.
So you kind of saw this coming and said,
"Yeah,
we need to be on top of this."
Our office saw it coming, and we eventually added a second. And when I took over as interim county attorney, at that point, I created a special victims unit. We meet every month. Victim advocates, the legal assistants assigned to that unit, are investigators, and the prosecutors, to make sure everyone's on the same page, that we're following the same procedures, that if anyone has a case that they need help on, we collectively work on that together.
Okay.
I think that's a really good response that we've had to those growing numbers. And we're able to do that. We have great people. We have great support from law enforcement here, and I think that makes a big difference on what a county attorney's office is able to accomplish, because some places don't have the relationship that our office has with their law enforcement partners. We really, truly are a partnership. Some places it's law enforcement does this, they send it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor, that's the end-all, be-all. But here we work cases really from the beginning. When law enforcement gets a case, they have the opportunity, they can start collaborating with the prosecutor right away to see what do we have here? What's the next logical investigative step? What do you need for a successful prosecution? Because
that in the end will fall on you, right? On your office, a determination of whether you move forward with charges, and what those charges will be.
Yes.
That's sort of where you come in that process. So being able to sort of consult, if you will, during the investigation, is that where some of the money savings comes from?
I think that's part of it. And part of it is we have really good people who make do with what they have, and they understand the importance of their job.
Okay.
And I mean, we have really hard workers in our office. We have a culture that is get the job done with the resources that we're given, and I think historically we've done a very good job at that. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't ask for more resources, but I think it is something to be proud of, that we've been as successful as our office has been, and we have the community response that we have here, and are still the lowest per capita of any of those Class 3 counties.
Honestly, I appreciate entertaining my questions on that. I mean, I know we'd hope to talk about a lot more, but this is fascinating to me because, again, as we grow and you consider, looking, as you said, Weber County, Washington County, Tooele County, these areas where, very big differences in population, a lot lower than us, some higher than us, but you're still looking at Cache County coming in. I mean, the closest competitor was still costing residents $6 more for the services they get through the criminal justice system than here in Cache County. And again, in some places, Box Elder County, every resident there is paying almost $30 a year into, if you break the budget down per capita. And so it's fascinating to me that Cache County is able to keep it at 22. I would not have expected that, considering their population growth over the last. This is, of course, a campaign cycle, and you've got a lot of opportunity. You've had a lot of opportunity to get out and talk with residents, with delegates ahead of the county convention, but general registered Republican voters now. What are you hearing from them? What is there a handful, an issue or two that are kind of bubbling up more and more often for residents?
And I think that the crime issue has been the number one issue that's
really
raised with me. The concern about crime,
concern about growing crime,
the growing crime, the types of crime. Everyone. We kind of talked about this before we came on air, but just people see Cache Valley Daily stories and they see those really bad cases and
they start to think what's happening.
And they ask what's happening to our valley, and that's I think one part of it is there's just more awareness of that.
That would make sense.
A long time ago, or maybe not that long ago, when social media wasn't as prevalent.
Yeah,
there was still bad things that happen, but overall, Cache County is made up of really good people. And the sheriff talks about this a lot, that our law enforcement system is based on really three sides. You have the police officers, you have the prosecutors, but then you have the citizens, because they're the ones that call the police. They're the ones that are witnesses. They're the ones that stand up and say, I'm not letting this happen in my community. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to call someone out for this, or I'm going to report this.
And that's an integral part of all of this, right?
Yeah, and that's really when you look at some of these cities where they're having bad crime problems, it's because one of those other systems has failed, and it's caused the people to not believe in the system. Whether it's a prosecutor who just stops prosecuting certain classifications of crime, or law enforcement that doesn't respond to certain types of calls, well, eventually people just stop calling, and they become numb to the crime, or they just think there's nothing anyone's going to do, so why report it? Why stand up to this?
And that's a very big city thing, right?
Yeah, that's a big city thing, and I think that's what makes Cache County so great. And so I tell people that you see the bad that's happening, but we have a really good group of people between our law enforcement, our child protective services, our community organizations, and our office that are fighting to resolve this. And actually, so I think this is an important point to hit, and it's good in some ways and bad in others. But we run our numbers for the year, and it's based on our federal grants that run on the federal government's year. So that starts in October, and then the state government manages those grants. And so their fiscal year is in July, and then we're on a calendar fiscal year. So we have three different years.
There's a gap.
But our reporting time frame is lines up where we track our numbers in our office for our special victims crimes on the VAWA grant from June 1st of each year to the 31st of May of each year. So we just got through another year cycle there. And unfortunately, this year, we look at our special victims numbers. Last year, we had about 410 special victims cases.
Wow.
This year, we're over 600. And so that's a pretty significant increase.
Yeah.
But looking at our overall number of cases submitted to our office, it's actually gone down by about 400. So
really? So you are effectively discouraging them.
So, and that's where it's hard to tack down the exact reason. Are we spending more time investigating some of those other crimes that are higher impact, and so we're spending? I don't think that's the actual case, because a lot of our criminal conduct is picked up by our patrol officers out there every day, and not necessarily the detectives that are investigating those more serious cases. But I know I know they're all carrying heavier caseloads. Our attorneys in our office are carrying heavier caseloads.
The investigators at Logan City are, they're saying the same thing. And sometimes I wonder, especially with, online financial crimes, they have a tight network of communication themselves, the criminals. And sometimes I wonder if word gets around very quickly that prosecutions are happening more often in a certain area, and suddenly you see fewer scams for a while. And I don't know, that's just a theory of mine. But on that note, that's something also that you say, as county attorney, you want to make a focus of your office, bringing those, more coordination to preventing those financial crimes, online fraud, because it is more frequent.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that's been brought up by several people I've had a chance to talk to, because they've known someone who's a victim of some online fraud, or they themselves have been. And
sadly, we're seeing a lot more of it. I'm hearing a lot more of it from residents.
Yeah, we're seeing it more and more, and we've really expanded our capabilities within our law enforcement community here to track some of that. There's only so much you can do. I think one part of, I think this is an important part of the county attorney's office job. We get to work with law enforcement agencies from all over the state, federal and state law enforcement agencies. And we've had some really good success working with the FBI, working with the Department of Homeland Security, the IRS on some of these cases, that their reach is further than ours. And so being able to call someone that's a contact there and say, hey, I had this case submitted to me. I think that there's some more going on here. There's some more that could be done.
You can share information.
And can you guys take a look at it?
That's interesting.
That is, I think that's vital for our county, because it's not just crime happening in Cache County. It's people that are being exploited here by someone across the country or across the globe. The
victim is in Cache County, but the person sending the email or the text or the spoofed number phone call, it could be in India. Technology allows for that, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we've had some cases. We've actually been able to solve some cases.
Really?
And had some prosecutions from people all over the country because of the good work that our agencies here are doing, and that our partner agencies are doing, that we're able to get justice for people here in Cache County. And that is going to be a goal of my next term, if I'm lucky enough to have one, is to get working on a financial fraud task force. It's something that we've had some meetings on. There are some working parts to do that.
Sure.
But I think that where we're at right now is light years ahead of where we were just a few years ago, with the capabilities that our law enforcement agencies have developed.
Good to know.
And I appreciate them putting their people into the training where they can understand some of these crypto scams and some of these larger scams, and have the tools and the knowledge to actually track money. It's really incredible what some of them have been able to do. And
that's fascinating. In a perfect world, none of this would be needed at all. We wouldn't even need a county attorney, but unfortunately we don't live in that world. And these online financial crimes, I have 3 or 4 members of my family who have told me about some of the messages they've received and texts they've gotten even on their cell phones just in the last month. So listeners, again, our guest has been Cache County attorney and candidate for re-election, Dane Murray. You can connect with Dane via a lot of different ways, but start with his campaign website, murrayforattorney.com, and that is MURRAY, attorney spelled just the way it's spelled, murrayforattorney.com. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. And check out this budget and caseload graphic that they've put together, working with the budget, breaking it down per capita, and talking a little bit about where the money goes. It's a really fascinating thing to see, even outside of an election. So also more information about Dane, his background, his priorities going forward, including, as we've just discussed, this financial crimes task force, and more. murrayforattorney.com. And Dane, I really appreciate taking some time for us today. I've taken about 10 minutes more than I asked for, so forgive me, but I hope you'll come back anyway. And to our listeners, thank you for being here as well. Stick around. More of For the People after the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Thanks, Jason. Farmers in the Great Salt Lake Basin say that rapid urban development and not agriculture is the real driver behind the region's water crisis. Now, a new Utah State University study published in the Journal of Rural Studies interviewed commodity farmers across Bear, Weber, and Jordan River watersheds. Now, researchers say they found that while agriculture accounts for roughly 2/3 of the basin's water withdrawals, farmers feel unfairly blamed for the shrinking of the Great Salt Lake. Now, instead, they point to Utah's booming population, which nearly has doubled between 1990 and 2020. Participants noted that farming operations are not expanding, but housing developments are rapidly replacing agricultural land. Now, the study reveals that farmers have little interest in permanently transitioning irrigated land to other uses, citing financial and cultural concerns, While researchers also concluded that saving the lake will require broader discussions about urban growth rather than just focusing on farm and water conservation. Well, new numbers out show that Utah boasts one of the strongest economies in the nation. That's according to a new report from the personal finance website WalletHub. Now, analysts ranked Utah third overall on the list of best state economies, trailing only Massachusetts and Washington. Now, the study highlights that top-performing states foster growth by maintaining business-friendly environments and aggressively investing in new technology. Now, a closer look at the data also revealed that Utahns earn a median annual household income of over $91,000, which ranks as the highest in the country after adjusting for the cost of living. Now, WalletHub also emphasized Utah's highly skilled workforce, pointing to the high concentration of STEM professionals, while also the Beehive State ranked fourth for its growth rate in new businesses and sixth for its share of high-tech industry jobs. Now, according to the report, Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia rounded out the bottom of the list for the nation's worst state economies. And this summer marks the first test for new safety upgrades in Ogden Canyon following the tragic crash that killed a local CEO and his daughter. Now, last September, the Utah Department of Transportation implemented several changes to address public concerns over the canyon's dangerous narrow curves. Now, UDOT restricted vehicles 50 feet or longer, also reduced the speed limit in some sections to 35 miles an hour, and also added rumble strips and new warning signs. Now, while Canyon residents and local business owners say that they appreciate the absence of large trucks, many report that dangerous driving still remains a major issue. Now, locals say that passenger cars and motorcycles continue to speed and illegally pass other vehicles despite the new electronic feedback signs. Now, UDOT officials say that it'll take about 3 years of data collection to determine if the recent changes have truly made Ogden Canyon any safer. I know we had a family reunion up there last weekend up around Anderson Cove, drove up through Ogden Canyon, and yeah, you really need to slow down and make sure you keep it in the lane because it is very narrow in some spots. Well, weather-wise, going to continue to see clear skies through the rest of the afternoon as temperatures have been in the mid-80s today. Tonight will drop into the low 50s and continue to see sunny skies through the rest of the week with temperatures gradually warming up. High 80s by Friday, low 90s coming for Saturday. Overall, if you look at the trends, we're about 10 to 15 degrees above the average temperature for this time of year. Overnight temperatures also staying a little above what we normally see as well. And weather this hour brought to you by Valley Recycling. Remember, they'll pay you cash for your metal, copper, aluminum, steel, old cars, and old appliances, giving you money to recycle. It's what Valley Recycling does. 145 North, 10th West in Logan. It's Valley Recycling. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. A pair of sources telling ABC News that Israel and Lebanon have reached an agreement on the implementation of a ceasefire. This comes after hours of negotiations in Washington today. The House, for the first time, passing a resolution to halt military action against Iran. This as there was an attack on 2 U.S. allies in the Persian Gulf. ABC's Tom Sophie Burridge.
The Iranians fired, according to QAT officials, 13 ballistic missiles and 17 drones. Yes, the U.S. military and the U.S. government insist that their war earlier had, really debilitated Iran's military. But I think it's just quite clear that Iran still has firepower. It can fire back.
They're still counting the votes in the Los Angeles mayor's race. Spencer Pratt keeping his hopes alive. Democrat incumbent Karen Bass already clinching her spot in November's runoff. Standoff at a bank in Bakersfield, California ended early this morning. The FBI says 10 hostages are now safe. The suspect confirmed dead, shot by the FBI. This is ABC News.
Hi, it's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we're changing our name to Alera Group. Wondering who Alera Group is? They are one of the largest privately held insurance firms in the country, which means more choices and stronger buying power for you. And yes, you're still working with your Cache Valley crew. Same local office, same personal service. Stop by and see us. Same faces, same place. Or call 435-752-0101.
I'm Sheriff Chad Jensen, and I have worked with Dane Murray since his first day at the Cache County Attorney's Office. I've seen firsthand his commitment to victims, public safety, and justice. Dane has spent his career holding offenders accountable while helping victims and their families move forward. He's a trusted legal advisor, an experienced prosecutor, and a leader I rely on. I trust Dane Murray, and I'm proud to support him for Cache County Attorney. I hope you'll join me.
Paid for by Dane Murray for Cache County Attorney.
Vote Dane Murray.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
This is attorney Jace Allen. At the Allies Law Firm, we know most clients care about one thing, achieving the best possible outcome. Not how many hours their lawyers billed, not confusing invoices, a clear strategy, and strong representation. That's why many of our estate planning, probate, and divorce services are offered with transparent, flat fees, so you know what to expect from the start. Whether you're protecting your family, navigating probate, or facing a difficult divorce, we are your allies. The Allies Law Firm. We plan, we fight, you win.
Here's Chad, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Just a couple tips for this summer for a healthier lawn. Raise your lawnmower blade a notch or two. Longer grass helps conserve water and fight against stress. Double check your sprinkler coverage and watering times. Then call the lawn doctor to put down a grub preventative and to try our popular new 2-service soil enrichment program.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Danes' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at cachehearing.com.
I'm married with 2 kids.
I'm a veteran. I own my own business.
I'm a retired school teacher, and I've had thoughts of suicide.
But, thankfully,
my granddaughter made a point of checking in on me.
Spencer noticed when I was distancing myself.
One of my buddies, he was worried about me.
Having someone
when I wasn't myself.
When I need it most.
Help me live on.
Live on.
Live on.
Connection can prevent suicide. Learn more at liveonutah.org.
Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs. If you're having cooling problems, we're here to get them fixed. Just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs.
As America celebrates its 250th birthday, the Cache Valley Media Group asks, why do you love America? We want to hear from you. Call in and record a short message sharing what America means to you, your family, your freedom, or your favorite traditions. We'll be playing select messages on the air all summer long. Join the fun and get complete instructions at CacheValleyDaily.com today. And happy 250th birthday, America.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with a lot of misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
Hi, this is Brooke Stevenson.
I'm David Castor with Adams Wealth Advisors. We're truly honored to be named Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for the Best Financial Planner. This community means everything to us, and we're grateful for every customer who made this possible. Thank you for your trust.
Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
News for the people. Thanks again to Dane Murray for joining us here in the studio. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I say this all the time to candidates and guests in general. I took more time than I asked for. You want to be respectful of people's time, obviously. Everyone that I speak to, most people that I speak to here on the show on an almost daily basis as guests are, have a day job, have other responsibilities, have kids and families. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but man, what a fascinating conversation. I feel a little bad. I don't think I in that interview did a good job of talking to Dane Murray like he was a candidate, and he is. He's a candidate for re-election in this race. But what a fascinating conversation, honestly. The county attorney's office, I think, is one of the probably least understood office. Now, none of us are experts on, I think, any county position. I think all of us would struggle to really fully understand what a water district representative does, even what a county council member is entirely responsible for, county executive. But we have an idea, right? County sheriff. But actually, county sheriff's a good example. I think most people maybe have an impression that the county sheriff oversees a handful of deputies and drives around in a truck with the deputies occasionally, doing what county sheriff deputies do. But Cache County Cache County Sheriff Chad Jensen is also running the jail. He also has to serve kind of as the chief lobbyist and spokesperson for the sheriff's department when the legislative session is in. You always have to keep an eye on those folks whenever they're grouped together there in Salt Lake. Make sure they don't shortchange you or yank the rug out from underneath a program that they haven't let run long enough. Their legislature is notorious for that. So Sheriff Jensen has to keep an eye on all of that. Also work with the county council, develop a budget. The reason I bring this up is that what fascinated to me, what got me very hung up on this during our discussion there with Dane Murray, again, current county attorney and candidate for re-election in this primary, is that this budgetary graphic. Check it out. It's at murrayforattorney.com, his campaign website. What fascinates me about this, two things, really. What we discussed with Mr. Murray, which is the fact that Cache County is coming in lower than almost every other county in the northern half of the state in budgetarily per capita, which to me was really surprising to learn, because my assumption, because we know crime is changing, we know population is growing, we know that as population grows, crime changes and increases caseload-wise for law enforcement, for prosecutors, for defense attorneys. Judges have heavier caseloads in their courtrooms. We know all of this. And we know population has been growing in Cache County. I would have expected the opposite. But what the numbers show is that Cache County is running a very tight ship when it comes to prosecutions, dealing with crime through the county attorney's office. And that to me is fascinating, because you have to keep this in mind. And the county sheriff has to do the same thing. everyone is kind of guessing at what budget they'll need. All this is done in advance. Dane talked about this a little bit. He talked about the gap between the revolving start and finish of the county's budget versus the July 1st to July 1st start and finish of the state budget, and how that can lead to some gaps and some challenges in planning two different ways for two different start and stop times for budgets. But the biggest challenge, and to me, honestly, a fascinating aspect of this level of government. Cities have to do this to some extent too, but they're dealing with a smaller scale, just their city. The county has to, and the state. This is why the entire 45-day legislative session, most of the time, is going towards the state budget. Because this is a $27 billion a year budget, and it is a best guess on needs, because we're always planning a year ahead. So when the legislature makes the budget between January and March each year during the 45-day legislative session, they're making a budget that won't start until July 1st and has to hold until the next July 1st. So they're always planning a little more than a year ahead. Same thing is happening with the budget for the county attorney's office, county sheriff's office. And to me, that is fascinating. It's the most underappreciated aspect, I think, of our county government, in that you have to know what you're talking about. There are aspects of this, a personal story a bit. I had an uncle, he's long retired, but I had an uncle who worked in Pearl. And then before the legislature outlawed double dipping, he was a double dipper. He retired as a parole officer, working along the Wasatch Front, and went to work for the state parole board and did that for a few years as well. And he was telling me once about the parole division had a budget that was tied in with the Davis County county's attorney, Davis County District Attorney's office. And so he said we all had to do this where we were planning a year ahead. But he said what would happen sometimes is you would have a summer, and he said it was almost always summer, but he said you'd have a summer where all of a sudden vehicle thefts, not very common in Davis County traditionally, would suddenly, just for that summer, skyrocket. And he said, working for the parole division, I knew that the reason was that you had, someone's cousin came to stay for the summer and had some friends and happened to be very skilled at breaking into vehicles. And so while that person was staying here, the vehicle thefts would quadruple or even quintuple in frequency. Now, when you're going from 1 a year to 6 in a summer, still not a huge panic situation for the public, but each one of those investigations takes a lot more time. It involves, usually, he told me, working with interstate agencies and the FBI, because very few people steal a vehicle and keep it in the state they stole it. And they got to get it out and sell it and make their money quickly, too. So he said time was of essence, and they had to respond quickly and work with interstate agencies and the FBI. And he said that would blow our budget up. Just going from one car theft every month in Davis County. This was back in the 80s, so maybe it's a lot different now. But he said we go from one car theft a month in Davis County to 5 or 6, June, July, and August. They found out afterwards. He knew this as a parole officer because he was the parole officer for this person once they were caught and incarcerated. But he found out it was literally this one individual and a group of friends that he'd trained, and he would come back every summer and stay with relatives in Davis County. That one person and that increased level of very expensive to investigate and prosecute crime would blow up the budget for the entire parole division in Davis County and the district attorney's office. So that's my example of why this is fascinating to me, the idea that all this is planned out a year in advance, and the county attorney needs to know, at least best guess, how much money they're going to need as they put that budget together before the county council signs off on it and approves it. Now imagine further complicating this with how fast our population is growing and how quickly crime is going to change, both in types of crime we see, as Dane Murray mentioned, a real increase in financial crimes, mostly online scam related, and then more frequent incidents of those crimes as well. That's a lot of planning. It's not an understatement to say the elections that are taking place this year, and I would say into the next cycle as well, are some of the most important decisions we'll make, because the planning we do now is going to be so